This week's channeled message from Isla, the mother of creation, is a beautiful invitation to take advantage of energies that are coming in right now perfectly, along with Easter and new beginnings. This is an opportunity to start stepping into a new way of perception. And this energy is coming in right now. It's available, but it's going to be up to us to consciously shift the way that we are engaging with each other in the now moment. And so in this message, she's giving us a really clear description of what it is that we have access to now and how we can take advantage of it. So welcome back to my channel, you guys. I'm super, super glad you're here. This message is actually a really profound message. So yeah, there's some really cool stuff in here for us. So I always get more out of it when we share it. So so anybody who's new, welcome. My name is Ann Tucker. I am a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm, and I channel Isla, who is the mother of creation. She's the mother of all souls. And my format is I will share the original channeling, which I did yesterday, and I do that in a deep meditative trance state. So I go into that deep meditative trance, and I connect at that point, and then Isla or the angels come in and speak through me. But after I share the channeling, then I will go into a breakdown where we talk through the message, because when you hear the message, it kind of shuts down the left side of your brain. You don't process words very well when you're in that frequency, and talking it through, we get way more out of it. It's a better way to sort of take it in and to integrate the message and actually put it into action in your life. So if you are new, I would love to invite you to, of course, to like the video and to subscribe, because this is not the only message that I will be bringing through. As a matter of fact, there are many, many here with us today who are watching along with you, who have been with me for years and have heard the messages that have come through both from Isla and from the angels, helping us move through this shift of consciousness. They shared all kinds of information telling us about the events that are occurring right now in our reality, starting even 5-6 years ago, letting us know what was going to come, how we could be best prepared, and what we can do to make ourselves really most available for the energies that are coming in. How do we step into the new state of consciousness? And this is practical, applicable information that's timely, that's relevant for you right now. So yeah, so I'd love to invite you to go ahead and like and subscribe if you don't mind. Okay, if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and hear the original channeling. Blessings. We are together once again. We are speaking together now on topics about tomorrow and the next day and the day after, topics about this week and what is coming in the near future, how all things are being brought back to the start again, as if in this time of rebirth, new beginnings are being seen and becoming. There's a field of thought that is unfamiliar, but is coming to the forefront now to be considered. And it is a perspective about who you are as beings, about what it is to be human in this time of frustrating evolution. There are certain energies that must be tolerated, that must be experienced on your pathway forward. But in the midst of these, you are expanding from within. You are growing from your center. And in this space of triumphant expression, new thought is born. The new types of thinking that you are experiencing relate to how you concentrate about one thing and then the next, how you move your mind in and among presenceful understanding, how you tolerate, yes, and adjust your position and what is felt before and after. Your consciousness is expanding in a new way. It is becoming increasingly concentrated in the moment. And this is part of how you are heralding the new beginning, part of how you are drawing yourself away from the experience of being drawn out across a long and unforeseeable reality that extends into the past and the future, and how you are now being called to participate more fully in the experience that is just before you. This is timely as you are in this time period focused upon new beginnings, focusing upon the rebirth, upon the evolution of life as it comes once again to discover itself. For humanity, yes, is in a stage of rebirth, is in a stage of finding itself. And part of that process of discovery comes from withdrawing your attention away from what was the past and the future and becoming more fully focused in the now moment. In this gestational period, as you are preparing for your own rebirth, the thought patterns that you are sharing will evolve, and you may find yourself feeling and thinking differently. You may notice that you are no longer foreclosing upon a particular subject before even trying it, that you are not discounting the unfamiliar as was your practice perhaps in the past, that there is more curiosity, more openness, there's more willingness to try things. There is an expression of who you are that is entering a dance with what is unfamiliar, with what is not yet thought of. Therefore, there is an extension of yourself into the now moment that is willing to perceive things that have not yet existed. In so doing, you are orchestrating a pattern all around the now. You are dancing just immediately before and immediately after. You are attempting to see things from a perspective that is external to what is the now, to watch it, to wait for it, to anticipate it, to perceive it in comparison. And I would encourage you, as you are experiencing this new form of thinking, to avail yourself of a new way of sensing the unfamiliar, which is to accept it as it is, and to feel for its truth, to enter into a belonging relationship with what you perceive, and to allow it to affect you. Allow it to come into a tighter relationship with your emotional grace, with a sense of who you are. Let yourself filter and be filtered through. See what it is from the perspective of being within it. Imagine yourselves trying something new, having tried something new, beginning something new, being in the space of that journey and allowing it to come into a felt sense of reality. In so doing, you are concentrating your awareness more fully in the now moment. You are allowing yourself to experience something as if you are first born on earth, as if you are truly just risen, as if this is your new beginning. You are concentrating your awareness in the now. And this is excellent practice for where you are going. This is an energy that unfolds immediately in this time as you are perceiving it. The first breath comes to all life in this time period. The first breath of a new beginning of spring, the announcement of a new journey, of a new rotation, of a new envelope of experience. And within it, there are new perspectives to be found, but they can only be found if you have shed the entrainments of old experiences. If you have set down your desire to find the old inside of the new, to compare it to what once was lost or what was known before. If you can enjoy your new experiences from the perspective of one who has never found them before and has no comprehension of what they can be, you must come into it as if you are new life, as if you are just begun on this earth, and you must feel it sensorially. You must taste it, touch it, smell it, hold it, and understand it, not by comparison, but through interrelationship with what it is. This is an exciting opportunity that is before you. as you storm the facade of what are your original knowings and break free from those obligations to continue what has been, and create for yourself a new dialogue with reality that says, I am risen, I am risen, I am risen, I am new. And feel into what is the newness around you. Let yourself enjoy this experience of living in a new way. Let go of old thought forms and old patterns and old ways of doing things, and allow yourself to concentrate your experience of living in the now moment. Does this take more time? Yes, it does. Yes, it does in the beginning. But over time, eventually, you will become very adept at this way of experiencing things, and it will actually be much faster. It will be a way within which you can truly understand something in a moment, in a second, in an instant, because your feeling and sensory apparatus will be developed to such a degree that you need not interpret what is being found. You may simply try on the experience of being with it, and in so doing, becoming it for a moment, having that perception from within it. And in so doing, you develop a knowingness that is deep and profound and adds to your own state of being. And this all occurs in a very friendly way, within a second, within a moment, without intrusion. There's no sense of intruding on the space of another. If you are meeting someone for the first time and you endeavor to experience them in this way, to settle yourself and to stop thinking and to stop doing and to simply feel the experience of the meeting, to allow yourself to inhabit truly the moment that you are sharing and to sense them with all of your perception. There is nothing hidden that need remain hidden. There is no truth that need go unspoken. There's no reason to hide yourselves away, for you are a perfection of what you are today, and you are perfectly expressed into the now moment. There is truth to what you are, and that is the most beautiful thing of all. I say blessings. I say thank you. And goodbye. Yes. It's a deceptively simple sounding message. And it is a deeply profound message to help us, I think, to grasp where we are really headed right now. Like, we keep talking about these concepts about telepathy and living in the now, but it's one thing to kind of talk about this in a perceptual way. It's another thing to start to begin to feel it and to understand what this means. Like, this is really, if I had to sum it up, I would say this is about trying to move from our head to our heart in how we interact on an everyday basis, like in the moment. Every time we meet someone, are we in our head? Are we understanding what they're saying and what they're expressing through our head, or are we perceiving everything with our heart? And like, we're meant to be in this new state of consciousness where we immerse ourselves in the experience of being with another person. And we're no longer trying to understand them from the point of reference of putting them in buckets and putting them in categories and comparing what they say to what we already know and trying to understand it by fitting it within the things that we've already understood. Instead, we're supposed to be listening with our heart. And it's a very different feeling, and she's saying, like, is this going to take longer? Yeah, in the beginning, because we're not good at it yet. But eventually you can imagine, like, how much, like, think about it this way. Like, imagine that someone gives you a bowl of ice cream, and they're like, well, what do you think of the ice cream? And you're just looking at it, and you're turning it around from all different angles, and you're looking at it, you're noticing how it reflects the light, and you're like, well, it really looks, it looks like it's probably cold, and it looks like it must be strawberry. It looks pink, and it's kind of looking like it's melting, and so it must be colder than the air. And you're like having all these understandings about the ice cream, and you can do that. Or you could just take a bite of the ice cream and then you're like, oh, it tastes awesome. It's like, it's amazing. That's the difference. Like one is you're merging with it and you're having it this sort of sensory, like, oh my gosh, like fresh strawberries and deliciousness, and it's you're feeling it. Like think about the intensity of like smell memories. You know, when you smell that smell, like I will tell you, one time I had a crazy one after my grandma died back in my 20s. I was on a plane, like it was a couple of months afterwards. I was on a plane going to some place for work, and I saw this woman coming down I had already gotten seated, and she was coming down the aisle, and I was just kind of looking this direction, and my eyes just kind of passed over her, and I swear to you, I saw it was an older woman coming in. I saw my grandmother's face on her face, beaming a huge smile at me. So I kind of went like this, and then immediately, like, oh my gosh, it's my grandma. And then, of course, the face had changed back and it was not her and she wasn't smiling at me, but I saw it. And then as she walked down the aisle, she walked past me and I smelled her perfume. And it was like there was no question. And her perfume was distinctive and she wore it like her whole life. And it just filled my nose, it just absolutely and it brought back all of the experience of my grandma in that moment. And I knew like, yep, that had been her and she visited me, which was so cool. But the smell was it carries, like it activates us at this way deeper level. And I think that's the experience. Like we can probably point to that and say that feeling of like, oh my gosh, it just brings me back to whatever that experience was or that moment or that, you get flooded with information, from that one little whiff. And I think that is closer to what we're going to be experiencing as we get better and better about using this new capacity, which she is saying we have, like it's coming, like now. She's saying that this is the energy of this time, is that this perception, this is our rebirth. She says, is that a rebirth from here to here? It is a rebirth into the heart space where we're meant to start navigating life from the heart. And in order to move into it, we just have to be aware that we are still conditioned to do it the old way, which is to come into every circumstances and to look at the bowl of ice cream. Like that's what we do with each other, right? We meet and we make assumptions about people and we listen to what they're saying and we compare it to what we already know. And, they're talking and we're thinking about what we're going to say next. Like we're doing everything but feeling, and imagine being in that space and recognizing the words are important, but what really matters is being suspended in this experience with another person and giving it your all six senses, and activating the heart in this way and responding when they talk about, like, think about this, when somebody tells you, like, this is like really striking me right now. This always happens when we start talking about stuff and we go deeper in it. But when someone is talking with you and they're sharing a difficult thing in their life, do you ever notice that's if they're telling a sad story or something really upsetting, how there's a part of you that kind of steps back and says, I can't have it. I can't feel that. I don't want to feel that feeling that they're bringing forward. That where it's like, oh, okay, they're having a hard moment and I'm going to be here and I'm going to listen, but I'm going to kind of keep a buffer and I'm not going to be in that experience with them, right? I'm just going to let them have their moment. What if you allowed yourself to merge, like anybody who ever saw the Sarah McLachlan commercials about like starving animals, those where you could not watch, there's these commercials and it would be like sad music and there'd be like these poor little puppies like abandoned and it would be like, and you could not watch those commercials without crying. Like it just was like reached in and grabbed your heart. It was like twist, like it was like, that was the point, was it was like supposed to be like, getting you to support charity. But in that moment, you can be there and you can do this with another person. You could be there and you could feel what their experience was. And then at the end of that commercial, if you remember that or any commercial that ever affected you, you can step away and say, oh, okay, I'm still me and this is still my life. There's a natural, you can merge and you can unmerge. Right? It's not like you're going to lose yourself and forget that you're you and you're going to take on their experience and take on their hardship. You're not, right? You can merge and then detach again. That we are sovereign enough at this point is what's happening, is we are now sovereign enough that we can merge with another being and then know that we can pull apart again and then walk away. So you can be in the moment, with them. And I had this happen just the other day. My daughter was sharing with me something that happened to her where she was working really hard on something and then got some really negative feedback that was really unfounded, and I felt really bad for her. And normally I would let her have her experience and I would hold space. And then for just one moment, I allowed my distance to drop, and I got mad for her, and I was like, I'm really mad. I want to go kick that person in the shins. I was mad for a minute. And I was in it with her for a minute. And I will tell you, she was like, all of a sudden, she lightened up. It was like, oh, I'm not carrying this all by myself anymore. Like, me being willing to merge with her for a minute was healing for her. And then I was able to then become sovereign, to let go. It's not, here I am, I could talk about it. Doesn't, you know what I mean? I'm not upset again. I'm not reliving that moment. It's not triggering something inside of me. That's the key, right? Is that it's different if you're merging with someone because, oh, wow, you have that wound and I hope too. And let's vibrate together and let's exacerbate our wounds. That's different. This is where you are sovereign, you are clear, you are clean, and you are immersing yourself in another person's experience out of compassion and love. And you are being in that moment with them, and you do let the feelings come up, and you're like, wow, I can feel how upset you are. I can feel why this stinks. This is terrible. And okay, now we're both healing, And then I detach, and then she feels better, and I'm back in my own space again. And and I just literally, like, I hadn't even drawn the connection between this message but that is what happened to me. It was yesterday. It was literally yesterday. So, and I see the results of it, right? I see that having this allowing myself to immerse myself and it wasn't tiring. It didn't exhaust me. I didn't come away feeling heavy if anything, I felt lighter because I felt connected. I felt like I had shared something, at a deeper level and she felt understood, which was just magic, right? Just absolutely. She felt like she was not alone. And yeah, it was a real, so it's of course, things are always this way with spirit, is that I have the experience and then that's the message. So then I can actually understand it. But yeah, super potent opportunity that we have right now to be in this experience of a true merging. And I think that the one thing I would say we have to be conscious of is, are we merging cleanly? Right? We don't want to merge in a situation where it is truly triggering a wound of our own. And we know when that happens because it feels like our stuff. It doesn't feel like we are offering love to another person. It feels like we are genuinely, like it's coming from a place of like, I don't want that to happen to me. When we have that reaction, that is us being triggered. In which case, don't merge, because we're just making it worse. Then we go, use it to clear your own stuff, right? There's my junk. Okay, I'll go spend a moment with my junk and see if I can feel my feelings. But in a situation where we can feel open our hearts to that degree of compassion, where we can merge with another being. I'm just realizing I had another dream about this, because this is clearly where we're headed, you guys. And I just made sense of another dream that I had, where I had a dream that I had opened my front door and let someone in. And then I was doing some things, and then I turned around, and there had been, because the front door had been open, there was a bunch of people on the street going to a party, and it was like a kids' party. They all had children with them, and they thought my house was the party, and they all came in. So I turned around, and there's like 30 people in my house in the dream. And I had to be, this is not the party house, you guys. It's like, you're in the wrong house. And so the message of the dream was this fear that if you open the door, that we won't be able to control what comes in and what comes out, right? That idea that if I approach everything from my heart space, will I remain sovereign? Will I be able to say yes this in and yes this out? And the point of the dream was to show me all I had to do was say, hey, you're in the wrong house, everybody. And then they all left. That's all I had to say was, hey, guys, not here. And it was really funny because they were even like laying out food and doing all, like they were making themselves at home. And I just helped them get all their stuff and leave my house, But the dream is showing me, no, you're sovereign. Like, even if somebody comes in, doesn't matter. You just say, okay, not now, time to go, and they will leave. I think, because that's a fear we have in terms of merging in this way with another person, is how do I define like what is mine and what is theirs? How do I we have so much conversation in our spiritual circles about spiritual sovereignty and about infiltration and all these kinds of issues, and I'm not saying those issues are done, because they're not yet. So that's why I say it, we only want to approach a situation like that when we can feel energetically clean, when we recognize that we are not having our own individual experience of what's happening, that we are not triggered, we're not angry, we're not in resistance. We are merely feeling another. It's the same way with the dog commercials, right? Where you're feeling a depth of compassion and love, and that depth of compassion and love opens the heart, puts down your resistance, and allows you to form a connection that we do not typically experience. And it's emerging where you are inside another person's experience for a moment. Yeah, amazing, right? And guess where this is leading us? Telepathy. Yes. It's leading us to more good stuff, more good stuff. So let me take a minute before, because we'll break it down. Let me go ahead and read through what you guys, because you guys are saying, you guys always say super wise things. Let me just check and see what everybody's talking about. Where are we? You're saying, this is very timely for me. I'm starting back beekeeping. Oh, a very intuitive work with the bees. The smell of the wax and the nectar is amazing. I feel their hive mind. Wow. Also, I'm avoiding plastics and chemicals in the hive and using only glass bottles for honey to raise. That is so cool, Anita. Wow. I wish we could all get some of your honey. That sounds amazing. And Debbie's here. She says, this is what I do with the children I work with. Much easier to do with kids, the way I see it. So cool, Debbie. Yeah, very, very awesome. And Kelsey says, being this Friday, I would welcome any explanations of what you think it means for sacrificing another to someone to somehow clear one's own sins, innocent lambs who cannot fend for themselves. Oh, let's see. I would welcome any explanations of what you think it means for sacrificing to another to somehow clear one's own sins. So very interesting. And that is an interesting question to bring up, because of it being the concept of Yeshua dying on the cross, and how does that clear humanity. And I can tell you that it is possible to clear another person's karma, that you can take on someone else's, and it's not something that I recommend you do, but you can take someone's karma from them. And I remember, and I actually read about this in Autobiography of a Yogi, which is written by Yogananda, and he tells a story about his guru who had his ashram and was working with his students, and it was revealed that he had a really bad wound on his back. And Yogananda was like, what happened to you? And he says, oh, it's nothing. I have taken on, and he had taken on this other one of his students' karma, that if he had not taken on that karma, which expressed as a wound on his body, that person would have died in some sort of a accident. And so, but this was like not something that I would say we all want to go and do. We don't, you don't want to do it. And I also know that if you heal someone, if you accidentally if you take away their karma, you can incur karma on your own. So which would be another aspect of that. Like if you don't intend to take the karma. So the way I know this is that back early in my journey, when I was, just found out that I was a healer. And I met with a friend of mine who had just found out that she could channel. And so we were like, okay, we're going to trade on each other and see what happens. And we met at the local library in one of the conference rooms. And she started trying to tune in, and all she got, out of thin air, she pulled the name of my brother, and then she pulled out the name of his wife. And that is literally all she got. And I'm like, and because I'm brand new to spirit, I'm like, oh, it must be meaningful. Why would you get their names? It must be, it must be something. And rather than saying, no, she's just learning and that's just what she got, I was had to read meaning into it. And so I thought it must be because because my brother's wife was about to have a surgery on her knee. And I thought, oh, it must mean that I am meant to heal her knee. This is where I went. You can see I'm going down this bunny trail. So I visualize in my mind's eye, I see her knee. And as soon as I see her knee, I see her with her arms crossed over the knee like this. Don't come near my knee. And I immediately was like, "Ooh, okay, there's a lesson for me." I immediately pulled back and stopped. But I now know, now that I've been in this field for a long time, I now know that was a karmic journey for her. And if I had gone in and tried to and healed her knee, I would have taken away that journey from her, and it would have become my journey. So it is very possible, just like Yeshua took our karma, he took sins away, he took karma away. But what does that really mean? Does it really mean that now we are all absolved and we can run around and do a bunch of bad things and then it's just like paying money to the church? You're clear, you know what I mean? It's like, no, it doesn't mean that. Like, I think it is like an awakening of a consciousness inside of us, is what I think. I think that it is like gifting us compassion. And I think that is how we clear ourselves of quote unquote sin, is that we discover compassion inside of ourselves. It is the energy of compassion. And I think to me, that is how I take it and how I receive it. Is it's an energy, and they're saying right now, as I'm saying, like it's like an energy construct around Yeshua, around Jesus, that is about compassion and compassionate healing, and that is the legacy, that's the gift. Yeah, which is beautiful, just beautiful. So, but yeah, you can take another person's karma, but you do not want to do it unless you really know what you're doing and like Yogananda's yogi or guru who understood how to take that karma and how to move through that karma without hurting himself. He basically manifested it in a safe way, in a way that wasn't going to hurt him. So yeah. So anyways, pretty cool question. Thank you, Kelsey, for asking that. And Jane says, do we need to do anything special to merge back to ourselves? I merge instinctively and have since youth. Interesting. I don't believe you need to. The main thing is you don't want to merge unless you're feeling sovereign to begin with, right? So as long as you feel like you're in a sovereign space, that you're like, okay, I'm feeling, and being sovereign, when you're feeling sovereign because you're in a high vibe, right? If you're already feeling good, if you're already feeling in a high vibe, then you are sovereign. If you feel leaky already, then that means and so here's a very interesting thing about being empathic, is that being empathic is absolutely a superpower, but often it is a tool to help you find the wounds inside of you. That being empathic means that you're highly sensitive to feeling what is out of coherence inside of you. And as you're walking around in the world, you're not going to respond to everybody's wounds. You're going to respond to anybody who's carrying a wound that vibrates with your wound. So it's like you gave yourself this gift so that you could easily find your own stuff. So it's like a dowsing rod. Other people are your dowsing rod to discover, because I will tell you, the more that you guys, and this, the more you work on yourself, the harder it is to find your junk, right? It gets deeper and deeper and deeper. But if you get triggered by another person, like in that way, it is always coming back to ourselves, always. And so being empathic just means that you gave yourself this super speedy version of being able to find your wounds, that the entire world is waiting to trigger you so that you can find your wounds as quickly as possible. So what this means is, if you're going into if you're going to try to experience another person through this merging, you want to be in a space where you are not triggered, where you feel clear, where you feel open. And if you are triggered, take a moment to yourself. You don't want to merge in that a moment. Recognize these are your feelings and sit with your feelings and just feel the heck out of those feelings. Feel them as hard as you can, because if you really, and I mean like ugly cry, and I see you got the tears, Jane, which is awesome. Let them come out, like feel as hard as you can. And if you do, eventually it will take like 90 seconds where you will be striving, trying to find that feeling, and it will be gone. But you got to like really go into it and feel it as hard as you can, and then give it an extra minute. Go through the first round of feelings. There is almost always a second layer of feelings underneath. So feel it, and then just take a breath and just sit and just, is there anything else? Go back into whatever triggered you, back into that moment. Is there anything else left? And see if anything else comes up, and feel as hard as you can. And just like in your mind, if you have to make it like as bad as you can make it in order to let the emotion, do whatever you have to do to get in there and let it come forward. And when you feel your heart is processing that emotion and letting it's basically free, you're taking the learning, you're taking the experience and letting go of the emotion. So so being an empath is really, really powerful, but it puts you on a fast track for personal healing. And that's the gift, right? It gives you, the whole world is your feedback machine, so that you can find your stuff as quick as possible. Oh yeah, so it's awesome. It's awesome. But notice when you are in that empathic state and you're being triggered and you're like, okay, here's a message for me, right? A message from the cosmos for me. Or when are you feeling really clear and clean and your vibe is high and you feel amazing, and then you're in an interaction with someone and they're having a moment, and you can merge in that moment and be with them. And so that's that, we have to really be conscious of where we are, because otherwise, where we go, if we are triggered and they are triggered, we just go deeper into story together. Then it's just like, we're in our stuff and they're in their stuff and nobody gets out. We just are adding more energy to the stuff, if that makes sense. So yeah, but thank you for asking. Isn't that kind of the same as being empathic? Yeah. Oh yeah. There you go, Antonio. So we just were talking about it. Yeah. And then, what's that about the experience of smelling things that aren't there? It's been happening to me more than once. Also hearing a knocking at the door, not hard to interpret that one. Love it. Yeah. And yeah. And so Janet is also experiencing a lot of mystery smells. So that is a gift, you guys. Smell-o-vision. It is an actual like clairsentience. Like, I don't know what smell sentience is, but it's a thing. And I have it a little bit, but not, I only smell, like entities is all I smell. So, and then my grandma's perfume. So occasionally I'll smell something like that, but not often at all. More often I will smell, and to me, they show up as like either pee, like stale urine, or pot. And if I smell that, I'm like, there's entities. I get in a cab, I'm like, someone peed in this cab. Nope, it's an entity. So that has been my experience. But so yeah, it's a real thing. I have a friend who smells them as like rotting flesh, which is like, I'm so glad I got pot, because pot is not great, but way better than rotting flesh. So stale pee, yeah, it's same thing. So I'm glad mine chose that. But yeah, so if you guys are getting, you get Janet and Kelsey, if you guys are getting smell-o-vision, that's cool. Yeah, it carries a message for sure. So and then it becomes like trying to understand. Like, I did not for the longest time understand what mine was telling me, and it wasn't until I kind of put two and two together. I literally used to joke that my smeller was broken and that everything smelled like pee and pot to me. And I'd be like, yeah, I don't know why. And I would say, does anybody else, I'd be in the cab, anybody else smell this? And, and they just look at me like, oh, your smeller's broken. Yeah. And, I did not understand. So yeah. So it takes, it's pattern matching is what you do. So if you're getting these kind of interesting signs and you don't know what it is, notice when it happens, notice what's happening around you. And if it's a stinky, nasty smell, it can be like an entity or something like that. But if it's not, if it's something else, it could be a loved one. It could be, like there's one, I went to this deep, like a 2-week channeling intensive years ago to this one, like one of the mystery schools. And there was a spirit that lived there. And they say you could smell him when he's around because he would smell his cigar smoke. Or just like my grandma, I could smell her perfume. So it could mean a lot of different things. So pattern match, like take note when it's happening. What kind of a smell is it? Pleasant or unpleasant? And then what else is going on at the time? And then take note of it and then notice multiple times and see if you can develop a pattern and learn what it's trying to tell you. Yeah, but stinky smells are often like negative spirits. Yeah, so resonates. Oh, I'm so glad. And Antonio says, I understand connecting as such. The work I did in rehabs and prisons was connecting and being compassionate. However, I always would burn out and become emotionally shut down. Interesting. Wow. Very, very interesting. So that's that, trying to learn to have this sovereignty, right? To connect and then to pull away, to be able to be in the moment. And I think that is the moment where, when we, like, I think that is why we weren't ready until now, is that we had to get to the place where we were sovereign enough to be able to engage in this deeper way. And I do think it's not an accident that, like, why are we getting this energy? Why are we receiving this new ability right here? And then you ask about Yeshua. Well, yeah, that's perfect, because he was the one who gifted us with compassion. And so this is this is a way of expressing a deep layer of compassion. So it's beautiful. I want to still go ahead and start in on the message, and let's go ahead and break it down, you guys. So here is what she says. Blessings, we are together once again. We are speaking together now on topics about tomorrow and the next day and the day after, topics about this week and what is coming in the near future. How all things are being brought back to the start again, as if in this time of rebirth, new beginnings are being seen and becoming. So a big emphasis on, like, this is stuff that we are in it. We're in it to win it right now. It is tomorrow. It's today. It's tomorrow. It's a near future. This energy, this is a new perspective that we are in a period of rebirth. And what is being reborn, we are being gifted with a new way of perceiving. So, and then she talks about how to do it. So then she says, there is a field of thought that is unfamiliar but is coming to the forefront now to be considered. And it is a perspective about who you are as beings, about what it is to be human in this time of frustrating evolution. And I love it. Such a simple paragraph. So she's telling us in this perspective, we're talking about our perspective. How do we perceive things, right? And this is the whole message is about learning to perceive through the heart rather than the head. And we'll go into that more. But it is a perspective shift about what it is to be human. So what is the most human thing that we do? It is interacting with one another, right? The way that we perceive each other. Like that is how we would define being human, is our relationship to the things, to the people around us. And so how do we relate to things? What is our perspective in those moments? So that's what this message is about. Next paragraph. There are certain energies that must be tolerated, that must be experienced on your pathway forward. But in the midst of these, you are expanding from within. You are growing from your center. And in this space of triumphant expression, new thought is born. Another important paragraph here about where are we going to access this new perspective in the midst of the chaos, right? We've been talking about how it is a simultaneous experience of death and rebirth. As old forms and old structures fall away, new forms are being born. But where are they being born from? Inside of us. We are the center of the new beginnings. And so it's growing from our center, and it is new thought, a new way of being human is being born out from inside of us. And so she says, yep, chaos, we got to tolerate it because it's part of how we free the energy. And then we're going to, and just like last week's message, she's like, take that energy and use it, like claim the energy, claim your fair share of the energies that are falling apart. How are we going to use it? We're going to pull that energy in and we're going to birth new thought from inside of us, new way of being from inside of us. And then she says, the new types of thinking that you are experiencing relate to how you concentrate about one thing and then the next, how you move your mind in and among presence full understanding, how you tolerate yes and adjust your position and what is felt before or after. So here she's pointing out that our current way of being is about moving our mind around, is that when we try to understand something, it's like walking around the ice cream bowl, is that we are looking at it from all the different perspectives. We are moving our mind before and after and underneath and above it, and we're comparing it to what we used to know and comparing it to what we think of in the future. We are processing everything from up here right now. And then she says, next paragraph, your consciousness is expanding in a new way. It is becoming increasingly concentrated in the moment, and this is part of how you are heralding the new beginning, part of how you are drawing yourself away from the experience of being drawn out across a long and unforeseeable reality that extends into the past and the future, right? And how you are now being called to participate more fully in the experience that is just before you. So this is referring to, we received many messages from the angels back in the day that were fascinating, that I did not fully understand at the time, about being freed from time. And first time it came through, I was like, what the heck? How do you live if you are freed from time? And it's in this book. The messages are in, and I know this shows up backwards on video, but this says, what's coming next? That's what it says. So many of you I know already have this book, but there is a chapter in here of messages that came in starting in 2020 from the angels and several years after. And there's a whole section in here on we will be freed from time bound to timeless present, starting on page 118 of this book. Is a whole, and so there's channelings about this idea that we will be freed from time. So what that means is that right now we are existing in a state of expanded consciousness, but we are expanded along the axis of time. So it's like our consciousness is spread out, and we are existing in this expanded state where we experience time in the past and in the future. So think about how easy it is for you right now. If I start talking about, 15th century France, and I start describing what it was like to live in that time period, you are going to go there with me. And if I describe it carefully enough and I really paint a picture for you, you will go there and you will begin to experience it. Like you can travel there with me right now, right? Or we can start talking about the future and you could go there too. I could talk about last week and you could go there with me. You could go anywhere on this axis because our consciousness has this expanded state of existence. In any moment, we spend more time in the past then or the future. We've been thinking about what we're going to say next. We're processing what this person is saying, how it makes us think of a thing we just heard 2 weeks ago, right? We are constantly moving back and forth along the axis of time. And that is an expanded state of consciousness. We took the now moment and we stretched it to incorporate all time. And we can go anywhere along that framework while we are in the now moment, which is kind of magic, right? We don't give ourselves enough credit for this, that we actually have an expanded state of consciousness now, and we are about to lose it. So I was like, enjoy it while you have it, because it's going away. So we are going to lose that capability, which is good, because what it means is, think about that as we have all this energy that's spread out this way. We go through the shift of consciousness when our energy field becomes coherent, and that energy of our consciousness is going to come together, concentrate in the now moment. What would happen if you had all this liquid and you bunch it all together and squeeze it into this one little space? It's going to spurt up the top, right? It's going to spurt up. That's what's going to happen, is that we squeeze all that energy into the now moment, and then boop, it goes up and it connects with all that is. So that's what's happening, is that we currently are kind of in between these two states where we're expanded this way. Now we're going to bring that energy in and expand up to connect with all that is out here with universal consciousness. So it's a new way of living and being. But in order to do it, we have to shift from processing the moment from here to processing the moment from here, right? This is the journey we're trying to make, which is why the message is so important. Does that make sense? Pretty cool, right? Yeah, it's really, really cool. So, okay. So your consciousness expanding in a new way. It is becoming increasingly concentrated in the moment. And this is part of how you are heralding the new beginning, part of how you are drawing yourself away from the experience of being drawn. Okay, I read that part about being drawn out over past and the future, and how you're being called to participate in the experience that's just before you. Next paragraph. This is timely as you are in this time period focused on new beginnings, focused upon the rebirth, upon the evolution of life as it comes once again to discover itself. For humanity, yes, is in the stage of rebirth. It is in a stage of finding itself. And part of that process of discovery comes from withdrawing your attention away from what was the past and future and becoming more fully focused in the now moment. So, and this is like, think about where we are just in terms of the energies available to us right now, that we are, it is springtime, it is Easter time, which is all about rebirth, right? And we are right in the smack in the middle of this shift of consciousness, which really is the rebirth of our consciousness, rebirth of humanity. So this is like the energy of new birth is huge all around us right now. And I know that in other parts, like in the southern hemisphere, then you're in a different stage of the seasons, but there's still like this period of Easter still applies around the whole world. We all call this Easter time, unless you have a totally different religion. I'm sorry, I don't know all of the different religious holidays around the world, but the energy is still here for all of us. It is still a period of significant change. In this gestational period, as you are preparing for your own rebirth, the thought patterns that you are sharing will evolve, and you may find yourself feeling and thinking differently. You may notice that you are no longer foreclosing upon a particular subject, even before even trying it. That you are not discounting the unfamiliar, as was your practice perhaps in the past. So that's an interesting thought. So this may be one way that we start to experience this energy, is to notice that you are more open-minded, to notice that maybe something there where you may have ruled it out, or as she said, foreclosed upon a particular subject before even trying it, where you would have been like, yeah, you know what? No, I don't want that. I never like that thing, whatever it is. I don't want to try that. I never like that type of restaurant. I don't want to go, right? Whatever, that we might all of a sudden be like, well, okay, I'll give it a try. Like that there's going to be more fluidity in how we respond to our environment, that we'll be more open in general. So this is an energy that is going to be supporting us as we are going through this. This is that you are not discounting the unfamiliar. And that is, and as was perhaps your practice perhaps in the past, that there is more curiosity, more openness, there's more willingness to try things. So, which is great, because for a long time, one of the messages that's been coming through was one of the ways we can get ready for the shift of consciousness is to put ourselves in situations that are unfamiliar and to try things that we don't know. And that's a way to start to open up our perception, to become, if we always are doing the things that we always do, then we can kind of turn our perceptions off, that we can go by habit in the same way that you can, if you're driving on a familiar pattern, if you're driving home from work to home and you're going down the same road you always go down, you can drive for 10 minutes and then suddenly wake up and realize that you were not in your body. Like you know that path so well that you could be completely absent. And there's large chunks of our life that we live that way. But when we put ourselves in positions where we're doing things that we've never done before, you can't do that. Like you have to be conscious, and time slows down and you experience more and you become more aware, and you're more likely to be able to access this energy when you do that. Like I remember when I was in my 20s, I did the backpack when I was in college, actually a little younger. I traveled around Europe for the summer, and everything was like, it was great, had a great experience. But the most unusual experience I had was going to Morocco. And in that time, like I think Morocco there's more easily traveled in now. At that time, it was not easily traveled in at all. Like your only way to get around was like buses that were filled with chickens. And like it was really very, very rustic. And, you would stop at like rest stops where all there was a bucket to use for a toilet. Like it was rough. And it was an incredible experience. And being there was so outside of anything I'd ever experienced before that it was like time slowed down. And it felt like, even though I was only there for, it might have been a week, at most 2 weeks, it felt like twice as long, because I felt like I had to be hyper present, hyper aware, because everything was so unexpected. It was so outside of my norm that it felt like time just slowed way, way, way down. And this is us, right? We can expand the moment by being more conscious within it, or we can contract the moment by going elsewhere, by leaving it mentally, taking your conscious out of the moment. So, so then she says, so this idea that there's more curiosity, there is more curiosity, more openness, there's more willingness to try new things. There is an expression of who you are that is entering a dance with what is unfamiliar, with what is not yet thought of. Therefore, there is an extension of yourself into the now moment that is willing to perceive things that have not yet existed. So this is the energy, right? This is what we have working for us in this period of rebirth. In so doing, you are orchestrating a pattern all around you now. You are dancing just immediately before it and immediately after. You are attempting to see things from a perspective that is external to what is the now, to watch it, to wait for it, to anticipate it, to perceive it in comparison. So she's saying this is how we do it now, and that this will be our default. So what this is, I love that she uses the metaphor of dancing. So imagine if someone invites you to go, like you're at a dance and someone invites you to the dance floor, and you go out onto the dance floor and they're kind of standing, like waiting to do like a waltz or whatever, like to do some sort of a dance. And instead you stand 5 feet in front of them and dance all around them. And you're kind of doing this, like moving around them, like, okay, I'm going to dance with you, but first I'm going to dance around the outside of you, and they're like standing, waiting, and you're doing this, like that's what we're doing. Like we are we are experiencing the thing, but whatever it is, but we are walking all around it, looking at it from every angle, because we're completely in our head. And so this is our experience these are the old tools, which is, how do you understand something? It's to look at it underneath a microscope. That is what we've been taught. Look at it under a microscope, compare it to everything you've ever seen, right? Experiment with it, see what happens, right? This is this idea of like analyze it to death. That is how we've been taught to understand things. Analyze it, put it into categories, compare it. And she's saying that's the old way. To watch it, to wait for it, to anticipate it, right? To perceive it in comparison. Okay, so here's the new way, she says. And I would encourage you, as you are experiencing this new form of thinking, to avail yourself of a new way of sensing the unfamiliar, which is to accept it as it is, and to feel for its truth, to enter into a belonging relationship with what you perceive, and to allow it to affect you, to allow it to come into a tighter relationship with your emotional grace, with a sense of who you are. Let yourself filter and be filtered through. See what it is from the perspective of being within it. So this is huge. There's so much in this paragraph, you guys, and I feel like this is a little bit about talking about dancing. We can talk about this, but I think the best way for us to take this in is to practice it, because this is such a shift from how we normally exist, and there's layers to this that we have to watch out for. So she says it is to, number one is it's a new way of sensing the unfamiliar, which is to accept it. So when we accept things, we move from resistance to flow, right? So the acceptance piece of it is super important, right? Being in an analytical state is a form of resistance. It's saying I will only let in what I recognize and perceive as familiar, right? Once we have identified it or put it into a bucket, then that's analysis. Analysis says, I'm going to hold it out here until I have fit it into a bucket that I can label, and then I will accept it. And there's a whole lot of stuff. If it doesn't fit in a bucket, I'm not going to look at it. That is a form of resistance, right? We are trying to say, I'm not going to analyze. I'm not going to try to label it. I'm simply going to accept it, which means put down all our resistance. To accept it as it is and to feel for its truth. So what are we doing in the moment when we put down our acceptance? When we accept it, we are trying to connect with its pure essence, right? And that pure essence could be the essence of the person, or very importantly, it could be the essence of the shared moment, which is, I think, a critical distinction. It could be two people together generating a field of vibration that they are sharing, and your job is to perceive that field. What is our shared opportunity right now? We are sharing, say for example, that you are sharing a laugh, right? That there's something funny that the other person said and you both really get the joke, and it's just like a belly laugh out loud. That is a shared moment. And can you fully open to that moment, right? Can you just be saturated and in that moment and feel it and be in the joy of that shared laugh? It's a fabulous experience when that happens. Can you just savor it for a minute, and enjoy it? And so that is part of it, to feel for the truth of that moment, right? To enter into a belonging relationship with what you perceive, right? So you belong to that moment of, like, you are that person who either just said the hilarious thing or who perceived and laughed at the hilarious thing. That was you, and you're in it, and you, not only are you in it, but you are co-creating it, right? So allowing it to affect you, be in it. So, and then allow it to come into a tighter relationship, and this is huge, with your emotional grace. So this is the distinction where we're saying we're not doing this when we are triggered. We're not doing it when it's our junk resonating. We're doing it when we are in our grace, when we are in our highest perspective, right? When we are clear, when we're already in a high vibe. That's when this is available to us, when we're in our grace. So with a sense of who you are, let yourself filter and be filtered through. So we don't do this when we've forgotten who we are. We do this with a sense of who we are. Right? That's what every piece of this paragraph is so important, right? We don't do this when we've lost ourselves to a wound that we had in our childhood and we're acting like our 3-year-old self. That's when we don't do it then. We do it when we are clear with who we are, right? With a sense of who we are. When we're in our own, we're grounded, we're centered in ourself, we feel coherent, which means we're in our high vibe, we're in our grace. Let yourself filter and be filtered through. So then when you're in that state, it's okay to be absolutely permeable. Absolutely permeable. And then see what it is from the perspective of being within it. And so there's layers to this, the fears that will come up. So like my fear about the dream I had, that about where I left my door open and like the whole neighborhood all of a sudden was in my house. And I'm like, ah. But like the dream showed me, all I had to do was say, okay, you guys are in the wrong house. And they all left. The idea that you can be filtered through, you can enter into that relationship with absolute ease. There's no moment where you have to put up all artificial boundaries. You don't got to lock the doors and put the bolts on to keep them out. Nah, if they come in, you are sovereign, right? Nobody can get inside you. They might come in your house, but all you got to do is say, yeah, it's time for you to go, and they will go. Right? I had another dream, and all my dreams are about these they're either about master your thoughts or this helping me to get ready for this exact energy. So I had another dream, which was very interesting, where it was showing me the fear of being too much. The fear of having, and it was a fear of like, if I was to share my healing energy with somebody who was not ready for it, somebody who was new to their journey, would it be too much? Would I overpower them? Would it be harmful? Like, is there a possibility? Because I once, as you guys, I think I've shared with you many times, there was a time when I did actually heal too much too quickly. And I had to like repair my aura afterwards. But so that would be a thing, like, is like, okay, like, can I be full? Like, and how about you? Do you ever feel like you have to hold yourself back? Or do you feel like you can just like be loud and proud, right? Yeah. So I had a dream about this. In the dream, this is so weird, you guys. Dreams are dreams, so take it with a grain of salt. It's a weird, but it was a dream I had. In the dream, there is this woman that I'm trying to help, and she has no arms and no legs. That's the weird part. She has no arms and no legs. I carry her into the bathroom and I set her on the toilet lid is down, and I set her on the toilet lid. She has no legs and no arms, which represents like she's really not prepared, right? She's no way to like walk in the world or to embrace life. Like, she's kind of unprepared. This would be to me like a person who's not on their journey yet. And in the dream, I'm trying to give her a candy, which is like, it's orange. So it's like, this is my work in the world, and it's round. So it's spirit. So I'm trying to give it to her. I'm trying to put it in her mouth. But as I get close to her mouth is like so tiny. And I'm trying to put this thing in her mouth, and she takes it in her mouth. I'm like, oh my God, that's really big for you. And she doesn't have any arms. So I'm like, do you need to spit it out? Like, did I give you too much? And I'm trying to like have her and I've got my hand underneath her chin, like, like, don't choke on this candy I just gave you. And candy is like healing. I'm giving her healing in the dream. And I'm like, do you need to spit that out? And then it was like, no. And she took it in and she was like, no, like it was no problem. It was no, even though her mouth was like this, literally this big, she took it in, no problem. So the message, like, I know, very bizarre dream, but the message to me is you're never too much. Like, there's never a moment that you're too much. Like, there's never a moment that you have to hold yourself back. There's never a moment that just by being you, that you're going to harm somebody or hurt somebody or or overwhelm them or whatever. No, like, our job is to be in our truth. That's our job. So two fears, maybe you relate to my fears, the fear that if you allow yourself to be open in this way, to be truly just to allow things in and out when you are in your grace, right? Like, recognize when we're not and say, okay, when I'm not, I need to kind of keep my energy to myself until I work through whatever I'm working through. But when we are in our grace, we are superpowered, and anything can come and go, and you are free as a bird. And that would be one fear, right? The other fear is, am I too much? Right? And both the dreams are saying, nope, once you are in your grace, when you are coherent, like you can be in this state, this loving, compassionate state with ease. And when you are in your grace and when you are being yourself, you're never too much. Cool, right? So, okay. So then she says, allow it to, see what is the perspective from being within it. So allow it to affect you. Allow it to come into tighter relationship with your emotional grace, with a sense of who you are. Let yourself filter and be filtered through. See what it is from the perspective of being within it. So this is a much deeper connection and relationship to experiencing other people, to experiencing the now moment than we ever usually have. Because we're literally merging with it. Imagine yourselves trying something new, having tried something new, beginning something new, being in the space of that journey and allowing it to come into a felt sense of reality. In so doing, you are concentrating your awareness more fully in the now moment. You are allowing yourself to experience something as if you are first born on earth, as if you are truly just risen. I love this little nod to Yeshua and Easter, right? That you are truly just risen, as if this is your new beginning. So experiencing something as if you are first born on earth. So think about, how does a baby experience or learn about anything? They have no context. When you hand a baby a rattle, they're not going to be like, this is just like the plastic key set that I had, last week or whatever. They're going to be like, what is this? And they're going to slobber all over it, and they're going to put it in their mouth, and they're going to rattle it. And that's how they learn, is by experiencing, right? By the senses is how they learn about gravity. It's how they learn about everything. You know how much a kid loves when they discover gravity and they all of a sudden they drop everything and they're like, look how that happens. I drop it and look at, and you put it back. This is a game, They love it. They play with it. And that's how they learn how gravity works. They fall the first time and they learn about, okay, I fall when I stand this way. So this will help us to be like, to think of that sense of open experience will help us to understand this sense of moving into our heart and starting to use our senses, including our sixth sense, our five senses and our sixth sense, to navigate and to, it's not even navigate, she's like, don't use that word, to interact and to develop compassion with our reality. Yeah. So, so then she says, so in so doing, you are concentrating your awareness more fully in the now moment. You are allowing yourself to experience something as if you are first born on earth and if you are truly risen and as if this is your new beginning. So then she says, you are concentrating your awareness in the now, and this is excellent practice for where you are going. This is an energy that unfolds immediately in this time as you are perceiving it. So this is available to us, like this is happening now. This energy is now on the planet and we can take advantage of it. So this is a part of, and where does it come from? It comes from inside of us. So we have reached, humanity has reached this state of readiness is how I would describe that, which is really amazing. The first breath comes to all life in this time period. The first breath of a new beginning of spring, the announcement of a new journey, of a new rotation, of a new envelope of experience. And within it, there are new perspectives to be found. So she's saying, like, this is the time we now have this capacity. And the perspectives have to be found, right? They're there, but we won't see them unless we find them, unless we take a moment and we notice and we pay attention and we practice. And then she says, but they can only be found if you have shed the entrainments of old experience. What is an entrainment? An entrainment is like where you are drawn into a pattern match to something else. So like a vibration can entrain something else to the same vibration. So it'd be like, have you ever been in a group where people are like humming and they start out all different pitches, or singing happy birthday and they're all different pitches, and then eventually they all come together to the same, like the same one note, right? That is entrainment, where everybody matches, we pattern match. And so we do that in our head with everything we experience. We pattern match it to what we were expecting or to what we heard before, right? We try to make sense of it through this lens. So we have to learn to shed the old entrainments of experiences. If you've set down your desire to find the old inside the new, right? And just in a word, that's what it is. We have to set down our desire. Why do we desire that? Because it's easy. It's a shortcut. Think about how, like like I was talking about, when you drive home and you get there and you realize you weren't even paying attention for the last 10 minutes, it's like your brain just took a vacation. Like you were off in the Bahamas and your body was driving the car and you were having a little vacation. We're like, that's relaxing. I like that. And that's how we live our lives. We live like whether we're like, our brain is off on vacation and we are only paying attention like to a little bit of the time. And that's why we like doing it, is because it's easy, right? It's staying in a place that feels safe. It's not challenging. It's easy. It's relaxing. So we have a desire to find the old inside of the new. So yeah, this takes a little more effort in the beginning, she says. In the beginning, it takes more effort. In the long run, this will be way, way, way easier. So it'll be a little bit like, it'd be like, I would say the difference is going to be like if you've ever tried to learn a foreign language, and if you know what it is to try to read something in a foreign language when you don't know it very well and you have to look up every single word, how hard that is, versus when you become fluent in that language and you just know it and you don't even have to think about it. They talk and you understand. And that's I think the difference is that right now we are in a state of consciousness where we look up all the words. And in the future, we're going to be in a state of consciousness where we just hear the words and we know the meaning. So it will be that much easier, right? But in the short term, we got to learn the language. And so it's going to take us a little time to get there. So to compare it to what once, so we have to let go of our desire to find the old inside of the new, to compare it to what once was lost or what was known before. So that's what we have to let go of. That's a conscious choice. So we have to do this consciously. If you can enjoy your new experiences. So this is, I put double exclamation points next to this because this is the next point, which is that she's saying it, but being in the energy of joy and the vibration of joy is a piece of this, is an important part of this. So she says, if you can enjoy your new experiences from the perspective of one who has never found them before and has no comprehension of what they can be, You must come into it as if you are new life, as if you are just begun on this earth, and you must feel it sensorially. You must taste it, touch it, smell it, hold it, and understand it, not by comparison, but through interrelationship with what it is. So, and that doesn't mean that you need to start smelling the person you meet for coffee. Like, wait, I need to talk to you, but first let me smell you. So that would be less acceptable. But but we can use our senses of just being present and really like that heightened state of awareness, that you can tap into where the feeling I'm talking about. And yes, you're activating, like maybe they are smelling good. Who knows, let that be part of it. Like take them in as a person. And but I like, she says, if you can enjoy it, because she goes into this more, but it's through interrelationship with what is. So that's the merging that we're going to experience happens through the senses, through this super conscious that we develop. That through this process, we are developing a super conscious around us where we connect to them on this sort of sixth sense level. Then she says, this is an exciting opportunity that is before you as you storm the facade of what are your original knowings and break free from those obligations to continue what has been, and create for yourself a new dialogue with reality that says, I am risen, I am risen, I am risen, I am new. Again, a wonderful nod to Jesus in that, and whether or not I have talked to Jesus and seen Jesus. So I love Jesus. So, but here's a wonderful nod to Jesus, which is that we're saying that, yeah, in this moment that we are, like we talk about the coming back of Jesus in this time of the shift of consciousness, we are becoming that. Like we are embracing that compassion. We are what is rising. So this is why she is saying, as this moment, what we are doing is we are embracing the compassion. The compassion was the message. That was the energy that Jesus brought. That was what saves us, is compassion. And now today, in this time, we are rising. We are rising, right? This is it, which is so exciting. That's why she's saying the energy is here. Right. This is amazing. I get chills. I'm getting chills even though I'm talking about it. It's just amazing to me. It is a new dialogue with realities. We're ready for it. And this is like amazing. Right? We are. And it's, why are we ready for it? Because it's rising up from inside of us. So incredible, you guys. So incredible. Yeah. I'm feeling this so much more sharing it together. I really am. Like you know what I mean? I read it by myself this morning. I feel it so much more deeply talking about it together. Just really cool. Okay, next paragraph. She says, and feel into what is the newness around you. Let yourself enjoy this experience of living in a new way. Let go of old thought forms and old patterns and old ways of doing things, and allow yourself to concentrate your experience of living in the now moment. So again, the reference to enjoy it. So it's meant to come when we are in our grace, which we know we're there when you feel joyful. So when you feel joy, this doorway is open to you. Right? When you're feeling joyful. So it is that idea of notice that you're feeling happy, you're feeling uplifted, you're feeling joyful. Turn on the apparatus, turn on the senses, and notice how present you are, and let go. Like this idea of set down and allow and just be. And it's crazy that it's so hard for us, because think about how much energy that it takes us to constantly analyze and compare. Like that is so much work. It's just a habit. It's a habit that we are used to. We're like, I got to grist the mill. This is what I do. And just like, it's just so foreign to us to just be in the state of like allowing, but being in joy, I think helps us get there, because we're feeling, when you're joyful, you feel free, you feel open, you feel like you have no fear when you're in joy. So that is like, joy is a key thing for us to notice, be in joy. And then, okay, here I am. I'm just going to become hyper present in this moment and really listen with all of my senses. And then, so does this take more time? Yes, it does. Yes, it does in the beginning, but over time, eventually you will become very adept at this way of experiencing things, and it will actually be much faster. It will be a way within which you can truly understand something in a moment, in a second, in an instant, because your feeling and sensory apparatus will be developed to such a degree that you need not interpret what is being found. You may simply try on the experience of being with it. So here is another proof point to this, which is super cool, which is that you guys know that that back in the day I worked in corporate, and I was a negotiator, and then I went in, I got very expert in all of the research around decision making, and that became sort of my avenue into executive coaching, and that evolved into my understanding of the 7 different soul types, which that's my other book. This is like book show and tell day. This other book that I wrote called Undoubtedly Awesome is about the 7 different soul types, and it is all about how decisions, it's focuses on how your decisions are part of your creative apparatus. They're really important to understanding ourselves as creators. So in our decision making, which is how we choose our reality, there we think that we make our decision with our mind, with our rational mind, and we assume that we choose from here. But what's fascinating is there's a guy called Antonio Damasio, who studied people who had that part of their brain, that rational part that chooses, or excuse me, they'd had the emotional center of their brain was damaged. The part that feels in their brain was damaged. And what they found was that those people could evaluate and analyze like nobody's business. Like you could take them, to McDonald's and they would be able to tell you what was good about this burger and which was bad about that burger, but they could not for the life of them choose which one they wanted, because of the fact that the choosing part comes from how you feel. Like choices are totally independent, and they are driven by feelings. And they even studied, they mapped the brain and watched the choice process, and they found that the choice moment is like a flicker, and it happens in the emotional center of the brain. And then as soon as we choose it, then it switches to the rational mind, which then tells us why our choice is a good idea. Right? So Judith knows what I'm talking about. She's like, yeah, she's read it too, or this too. Yeah. So all choice starts with the heart. And so what's amazing about this is that moment, how long does it take you to choose something in the heart? Like that, right? It is instant, because it is a felt sense of either this is for me or this is not for me, right? I like it or I don't like it. And then our brain goes like, okay, now I'm going to do 1,000,000 sit-ups and tell you why that was a good choice. So the brain will do its tons of work and tons of work and tons of work. So why this is relevant right now is that as we get used to using the heart, we will be able to choose like that. Like we will be able to understand another person. We will do this merging process instantaneously. Feelings are 1,000,000 times faster and contain 1,000,000 times more emotion, more information. There's more information in a feeling than there is in a thought. Way more. So this is the doorway through into our telepathy, right? This is the pathway that we're meant to take. So, and it's available to us right now. We are rising. Compassion, right? We're here. The message of Jesus is coming to us right now, which is that compassion is ours. We are sovereign enough in our field to be able to access this energy. We cannot do it until we are in our grace, until we are in joy, when we are sovereign enough to not be activated, right? To not be triggered. When we can come into a relationship or a conversation with another person and be in a state of our grace. And in that moment, we know that it's safe for us to have this experience of compassionate, total body understanding of another person. Isn't that incredible? Yeah, I have chills again. I'm full of chills today. Yeah. So we're going to try on the experiencing of being with it, right? I love that. It's like borrowing someone, like maybe put on your jacket and feels what it feels like to be you, That's what this is like. So, and then she says, and in so doing, becoming it for a moment, having that perception from within it, and in so doing, you develop a knowingness that is deep and profound and adds to your own state of being. So why do we do this? Well, you can literally understand the journey of another soul without having to go through those lessons yourself, right? You feel what it is to be that person, and it expands you through that contact. You grow as a person. Their lessons become your lessons, but you didn't have to go through the hard knocks to get them, right? Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And this all occurs in a very friendly way within a second, within a moment, without intrusion. So super important here because of my dream about all the neighbors coming into my house, right? That feeling that it's like, oh, am I going to or me like overwhelming the other person, overwhelming the woman in my dreams, right? With my, doing too much. That this is not intrusion. This is not a situation where you are invading them energetically or they are invading you energetically. She says that it can happen in a moment without intrusion. There's no sense of intruding on another or on the space of another if you are meeting someone for the first time and you endeavor to experience them in this way, right? To settle yourself and to stop thinking and to stop doing and to simply feel the experience of the meeting, right? So this is a way that if you're practicing this and you feel like the easier thing to do is to be immersed in, like I was talking about, to feel like if you have a moment of shared, like the shared joke, where it's like we're having this incredible energy that have exchanged through this shared laughter. Or you know how in a conversation you build a conversation, right? Like you give a little bit and then the other person gives a little bit and they tell you something you didn't know and you tell them something about yourself and then they tell them so, and it builds and it becomes this energy, and you can feel in the conversation when it's smooth and it's flowing and it's like, wow, and I feel like I'm being carried in this river. And then sometimes it happens that you'll take it in a path where someone, and this is weird when this happens, notice this now in your conversations, when all of a sudden someone turns and goes into their wounding and the whole vibe just goes like where you're talking and you're having this wonderful exchange, and then all of a sudden it makes someone think about their ex, and then they go into, yeah, this one time that happened, and then they start going down the rabbit hole of like, bad, and then the whole vibe was, and you have to start again, building it, another conversation, right? And you're building the vibe again, right? As you kind of leave that behind, and then so watch your conversations and notice, like when are you, and this is that being fully present, being in the moment, and then as you do this, we can start to come closer to this concept of immersion, merging with another person. I think it will be easier for us with, like, for me, having that moment with my daughter, like, felt very safe because she's my daughter. It felt very easy for me. She lived inside me before. It's like really easy for me to merge my energy with hers. So, but if you're not sure about merging your energy with a stranger, merge with the moment and be in the moment with them, and build that moment of energy and watch as it grows and you build it together and be in it, be really in it. And then she says, to allow yourself to inhabit truly the moment that you are sharing and to sense them with all of your perception so you can see how they are. So I will share with this to add another layer of like why this can be potent, is that so frequently, like, my kids will ask me to read things for them. They'll have like, I had this important conversation, or I had this whatever, I met this person, can you read that? They'll call me. It's like, it's a common occurrence in my household. So I'm like, can you tell me, like, did this meeting go well for me or whatever? And as I do it, I can feel into the conversation itself as an experience. I can find that moment in time and feel into the energy of that moment and feel. And what's lovely about this is I may not know the other person at all, but I can feel, because I can go through my son's energy, my daughter's energy into the moment. I can feel what was created between them in that moment. So the moment itself, it's like a little separate piece of consciousness. So we each have these that we build with each other, and you can feel into it. You can become immersed in that feeling, in that moment, and allow it to. And interesting that they're not very long lived. Like if it's something that it's like didn't have a lot of energy or a lot of charge, if it didn't, then it's like, oh, I can't really get that very well. So some moments have more charge, more energy in them than others. Like the simple conversation you have with a cashier, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I can't get that. It was like nothing. Nobody put any energy into that. But if it's something that's charged, so can you build your moment into something that's joyful, that feeds you, that nourishes you? Yeah. There is nothing, and then I like this part, again, this idea about what is our resistance to this? Another layer of resistance might be the feeling that when you merge with another person or really allow yourself to really share your truth into the moment, how much of yourself are you sharing? Is there pieces of yourself that you don't feel comfortable bringing out into the limelight, right? Is there wounds that you're working on? Is there sadness? Whatever, is there something that you're struggling with? And we feel like, well, if I bring this into the moment, like that's not lovely. Then she says, there is nothing hidden that need remain hidden. There is no truth that need go unspoken. There's no reason to hide yourselves away, for you are a perfection of what you are today, and you are perfectly expressed in the now, into the now moment. There is a truth to what you are, and that is the most beautiful thing of all. I say blessings, I say thank you and goodbye. So that, I think, is a wonderful thought, that you can be in the middle of your stuff and still find a moment of joy. And you can bring all of yourself into that moment of joy, including the things that you're struggling with. And it does not, like, we are not expected to be perfect at all. As a matter of fact, perfection, as Isla has told us, is in fact death. So it's like unending. So we are meant to come in with all of our stuff, right? We're meant to be exactly as we are, but when we are in our joy, when we can accept ourselves and love ourselves, when we feel at peace with who we are, we feel at peace with, yeah, I still got some stuff. I have my stuff and I love myself, and my stuff is teaching me. It's my lessons that I'm bringing with me right now that I'm working through, and I'm learning more because I have these lessons. I have these unanswered questions. And that's beautiful, right? That is true. And the more true it is, the more beautiful it is. So it is really awesome when I've heard from many, many people when I'm in live events, I'm speaking at live events, that multiple people frequently will come up to me afterwards and tell me that they see my throat chakra when I'm channeling, and it's always bright blue coming out of my throat. And that's Isla, that's the energy of her and its truth. And it's just, I love that. And it always, because I actually didn't know, because I'm not looking, but multiple people have told me that they see it, which is just so cool, which is another reason why, like, we are all meant to be windows for each other into the world. We all have our different gifts and we're meant to share them, because how would I have known that unless somebody had told me? And now that makes me happy. All right, you guys. Gorgeous conversation today. I know, and I've missed out on a bunch of the conversation, but I know I talked long today. It's already 11:42, and I know many of you are in our Soul Society and are wondering, like, when does our car wash start? So we gotta go jump over to Soul Society. So, okay, anybody who wants to come along, you guys know you are welcome and invited. Oh my gosh, Denise found bubbles. I love it. It's so fun. So you guys, thank you so much for being here today, for sharing the message. I feel like this was a really powerful and potent message. I personally got so much more out of it through the conversation, and I am so excited to start experimenting with this and trying to be more conscious of myself in my conversations and to try to be in this energy. So let's report back to each other next week and see, like, how did it go? Let's do it. Let's do this and really try to embrace the energy. Sending you guys so much love. I will see you guys next Friday live.